Hi guys, today I'll show you some party ideas for girls.
Hey everyone, hope you are all well. Today we made a tail. What type of tail do you think it is, Barbara? A shark, a whale, a fish? Anyway, we made a really cute tail as a part of our party decoration, and I hope you guys like this. The video is full of cool tips and ideas for you guys, so don't miss them. Make the most of everything that's in this video for you guys to learn how to make this. Okay, so without further ado, let's begin. To make the job easier, I made the template and printed it out following this template guide, and it's this size. Now I'm going to trace it out on some foam board. You can use foam board or Depron XPS board, remembering that it needs to be the type of board that is 5mm thick. Once the template is ready, you're going to put it on the board and begin to trace it out. And I'm going to do this part using a pointed object, but you may have noticed that the template is bigger than my board. My board is 1 meter by 60 centimeters. Is that right, production? Yeah, okay, production has confirmed those measurements for me. And what are the measurements, Barbara? 1 meter by 60 centimeters. To complete the rest of the tail, I'm going to need more material, so I'm going to need another board, but I'm going to leave this part for where I make the fins. So I finished cutting the template out, and it's very helpful for you to trace twice using your blade. And so I cut the template out until the end of the tail section, up until where the fins open out. So once you've done this, I also cut out the other part of the tail using the same technique. Firstly, I traced out the template using a pointed or rounded object, just for me to be able to know where I needed to cut. And so then I cut it out, and it was the perfect size here, and it's going to fit together perfectly with the first section. But before putting them together, I also need to make some strips, which will be the strips that are going to go around the edge of the whale. And these parts that I cut out, these strips, are approximately 14 centimeters. So once you've made your first strip, you can use it as a guide to make your other strips. And so you're going to cut out the rest, all the same size. So for this craft, I needed more or less 3 boards in total to make the tail as well as the edge strips. And it's going to be a really nice size. Barbara is just going to measure out the size of the structure. And while she's doing this, I'm going to continue cutting out. So once I've cut out the strips, I'm going to need to make some light cuts on the strips. And this is just so that the strips are able to curve nicely. So I just do this on one side of the strip, and it should be nice and curve one way. If I make my cuts on the other side, it will curve the other way. Remember that these are light, superficial cuts on the board. They shouldn't cut all the way through. So this way your strips will be malleable and serve nicely for your rounded edges. And now Barbara has arrived back and let me know the sizings of our tail. The height is 1 meter and 41 centimeters, so it's a really big structure. And now that we know the height, let's finish off making our cuts and begin gluing together the upper and bottom parts of the structure. For this, you're going to use just one strip without any cuts on it. It should be a firm piece of board, 5mm thick. And you just need to cut it out and glue on here using a glue gun. I used a glue gun to do this part and also to do the edges. I made a cut approximately every 3 centimeters on the larger curved sections. So those superficial cuts on the strips are used to curve this part. For the smaller curves, I made light cuts every 1 centimeter. And so the light superficial cuts are closer together for these parts. And you can see on the video the distance between the cuts. And so you just need to glue that onto the bottom section, following the shape of the structure of the tail. And once you've done this on one side, you're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side, both the upper and lower sections. And you finish off your structure. While I do this part, I'm just going to let the music play. And if you haven't given the video a like yet, why don't you go ahead and give it a like? Share it on social media. This really helps us as a channel to bring more content to you. And you'll also learn more with me. Comment below what you would like to see us make. We need more ideas. Guys, a great video for you to watch after this one is the video where we make a shark. Honestly, guys, it turned out so nicely. And we were able to put your face inside the shark's mouth to take a photo, and it looked really great. So make sure you give that one a watch after this video. So I'm going to leave the link on the card, and once this video is over, it's going to appear on your screen. We also have the baby shark video in which we made a baby shark decoration, and it also turned out really nicely. Remembering that this video was made on the request of one of our subscribers who wanted to see how to make a tail, and so I'm fulfilling my promise, and I really hope you liked the video. Okay, so once you've done this and it's all glued together, it's time to do the finishing touches. Because if you noticed on the section where the tail will stand up, I made the edge a little bigger. And now it's time to cut off the leftovers, and I'm going to glue on the part that is not yet glued on using a glue gun in order for it to stay nice and firm. And once it's nice and firm, I'm going to cut off the extra parts using a ruler and a utility knife. It's very important that the utility knife is very sharp in order to not have any rough edges. This is very important, so take note of this tip. And with both sides cut out, it's ready to stay on its feet. And look how nice it looks. Now it's time for us to fill it with balloons. You can use whatever type of balloon you would like. I'm using metallic balloons as well as non-metallic balloons. And I blew them up to different sizes of 4.5 inches, 4 inches, and 3 inches. So these were the sizings I used, but you can do this your own way as long as they fit well in your sculpture. Comment here if you would call this anything else. I call it a sculpture, but I don't know if that's the right word for it. And to glue on the balloons, I used a glue gun, but pay attention in this part because this glue gun has 2 temperature settings, a cooler temperature and a very hot temperature. I don't use the hot temperature setting on the balloons because it may explode. So this cooler temperature is the one that I use to glue on the balloons. However, if you have another type of glue that works well with balloons or a double-sided tape, you could use this instead. So go around gluing each one to the other, fitting them all in snugly together, and I finish off the whole tail in this way. And now it's time for the big test, which is to see if the sculpture will stand up on its feet. Okay, well, you can see the whole sculpture. It's really big and it looks really nice. Actually, it's gigantic. And look how cute the details are. It would look really nice in your decoration. And, you know, it just gives that extra bit of charm. The first thing I do is print out the templates, which are available on our Etsy site. You can find the link here in the description, or you can also design it by hand, no problem. But in case you would like the template, it comes with a template guide just like this one. It comes with the separate parts for you to print out on A4 sheets of paper, and it shows you where to cut out and glue the parts together. You can cut the parts out, leaving a white section on the sides to glue onto the other sections using white glue, or just stick them together using transparent tape. So you can see the way I've cut it out is that I've cut out a side part and a bottom part, leaving the top section and the other side so that I'm able to glue them together with white glue. After doing this, I put the template onto the board. This board that I'm using is a board called Depron XPS, which is like a type of polystyrene board that you can use for those little trays for cheese and ham that you buy in the supermarket. It's the same kind of material and it's nice and big. So put your template on top of the board and trace your template. Then cut it out using a sharp utility knife in order for the edges to be smooth. After I've cut my boards, I cut out a 3 by 5 centimeter rectangle and a slightly smaller 3 by 2 centimeter rectangle. Then I made a little opening right in the middle and glued one part to the other. Then you just need to spread on some glue and glue it onto the back of your heart. It needs to be nice and central in the middle because this is the part where you will attach a nail that you have at home. I'm attaching mine where another picture had been hanging, so I just substituted it and we're ready. My heart background is ready, but now to jazz it up a bit, you could decorate the heart using some different things like maybe some flowers. Okay, now that it's ready and up on the wall, you could add on some words, dates, initials, or names, whatever you like. Cool, right? I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm gonna stick around here. So the first thing I do is print out the template. This first template is your example for how to assemble your larger parts of the template, like this. And so I printed out the complete template for the craft, and I just positioned the parts in order to cut them out and glue them all together. Once you've cut out and assembled all your parts, we're going to move it onto a foam board. The width of my board is 5mm and it is a 1m by 80cm board. In order to do this first template, I'm going to need 2 boards. So I've got some extra pieces of board that I had saved, and I'm going to use these pieces to complete assembling my board. To glue the boards together, I'm going to use a glue gun, so let's go! So it's really simple, you just need to glue along the width of your board to glue one part to the other. For now, I'm only going to join this top part to the bottom part, which will basically be the size of our complete unicorn, and so it will just be missing the front section, the snout. I don't know if that's what you call it. Okay, so once it's joined together, I move our template onto the board and trace it out using a large needle or a large tool with a very thin, sharp point. Because this foam board has a top paper coating, so it's styrofoam in the middle with a paper layer on the top and a paper layer on the bottom. And with the help of this tool, I mark up my template by ripping through this upper paper layer. And you can also do this with a precision knife, which works nicely. The knife that I use is nice and sharp, so if yours is not sharp, make sure you sharpen it so that your blade cuts nicely for this. And in this way, go around cutting out your template. And to cut out your template, you go around once with your utility knife and then also a second time. This way, you make sure that it will cut through the whole board. So don't worry too much about it because this part is really easy to get right. And so in this way, you're going to go around and do part by part. After I've cut out the part for my unicorn's face, it's still missing a little section of board at the bottom that I need to glue on. So I also need to glue together those parts. So I'm going to use the leftovers of the board to do these parts. That way I don't waste another board just for a little section. So I would recommend that you buy at least 4 boards in order to make the whole unicorn, because we also have the side sections and it's mane to make. So you'll need enough board to make all of these parts. So I would recommend that you buy at least 4 boards, also remembering that you need a 5mm thick board. Now to stick on the side sections all the way around. I cut out 15cm strips, except for one strip that will go at the base of the unicorn. This one will be 14.5 centimeters. Because the strip won't be glued to the bottom of the board, it will be glued to the side. The rest of the strips will go on the outskirts of the board. So a small part of the unicorn template will be on the ground, with this part of the board giving support. And on these 15cm strips, I'm going to make some light cuts so that the strips are more malleable. This way, I'm able to curve the strips. So when there is a greater curve in the unicorn, I make a light cut every 3 centimeters. And when the curve is very narrow, I make the cuts closer together. And so I make a cut every 1 centimeter. And these light cuts shouldn't cut all the way through your board to the other side of the strip. They should just make it possible to bend. So there should still be a part of the board connected, and this is what our strips should look like. And now I glue on the base of the frame, and I also do the gluing all the way around the edge of the unicorn. So it's really simple and easy to do using a glue gun. Remembering that when the curve is curved one way, the cuts need to be on a certain side of the strip, so there will be some strips on which you will need to make cuts on both the right and the left side in order for it to curve both ways. So this is a really important technique for you to learn to help you as you make your frames and sculptures, and you will have this technique mastered. And when there's a tiny strip missing, it's really easy to fix. You just need to get a tiny piece of the same board and cut it out to the size necessary and glue it on with a glue gun. So now I'm just missing one part that I need to glue on, which is the bottom part. And you can see how this part of the sculpture curves both ways, as if it were a number 2 or an S, just the other way around. So for this I made my cuts on both sides of the strips, one on one side to bend one way and on the other side to bend the other way. You just need to take a look and you're going to notice that the strip is equally malleable on both sides. So you're going to do the same thing for the inner section of the sculpture. You can't see my markings here because they're subtle, but I made some marks on the inside, and from close up you should be able to perceive the markings, and you can do this with a pencil in order for them to be clearer. It's no problem. When you come to do yours, you can do it however is best for you. Okay, now time for the inner parts. So I made cuts both on one side and on the other for my strip in order to make this movement so that it curves correctly. So once you've done this, you just need to glue it onto the markings. So for this part, you're just going to go around gluing. You're gonna have to secure the strip a little whilst the glue dries, so glue on the upper part as well. If you need any help, you can use some tape to help you as you do your gluing. The tape will help hold the strips in place whilst they dry, and once they've dried, you can remove the tape, no problem. So once I've done one side, I also went on to do the other side, and now it's just gluing on the parts and designing them using the same board. And this part is really simple, there's no big secret. Once it's all ready and all the parts glued on, I just need to line the floor in order to place our unicorn on top. And I'm going to do this because I'm going to paint some sections. Not all by myself, I'm going to need some help because, like it or not, we're studying at home and it's more simple and easier to help out with the decoration. And of course, who doesn't enjoy doing this part? So now you will decide where you want each colour, the colour that you want to use for the hair, the mane. So you just need to paint, and to paint you can use a craft PVA paint or collagen spray paint, which is an eco-friendly paint, or another option is decor paint, acrylics spray paint. These are the ones I would recommend for you to paint foam board or polystyrene board. You just need to paint it, and then you can blow up the balloons that you're going to place inside. However, if you don't want to place balloons inside, you could also fill it with something else like flowers, for example, or whatever you like. You can fill it with anything. You can also fill it with LED lights. I'm filling mine with 5-inch balloons inflated to 4 inches, 4.5 inches and 3.5 inches, and a few balloons blown up with just one pump of air. The technique I'm using here before gluing them in is to position the balloons exactly where I want them. Most of the balloons blown up to 4.5 inches will fill this white section, and if there's any space left over, I blew up another balloon to the size needed to fill the leftover space, not to a specific sizing. But you can calculate this however you like and blow the balloons up to the sizings of your choice. This is just a technique that I decided to use, and for me it worked great. this is the finished result. With our unicorn all ready, now it's time to add on some little details. I glued my ears to EVA foam paper, so I used both black EVA and on top of this purple, and on top of the purple, salmon pink, so it's nice and solid. And for the horn, I just printed and cut it out, and for it to stay nice and solid on the back of the coloured horn, I glued on some polystyrene board as well. The finished result is incredible. The size of the unicorn is approximately 1.19 meters in height and 1.26 meters in width. So it's nice and big. Nearly 1.20 meters in height. It nearly passes me in size. It really does look great, and it will work so nicely in your decorations and will definitely be extremely popular when it's time to take your photos. You can also use it for your party display wall. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. It looks great. I'm going to stick around here. Lots of love to you all and see you for the next video. Bye!